Hi everyone, my name is Angelus, and I'm back with a new episode of Let's Finish the Thought. I think today's episode is going to be interesting. Well, I hope it's going to be interesting anyway, because I want to talk to you about something that might make some people a little uncomfortable, but I mean it respectfully. First off, I want to start by saying I do not believe in God. I never have, not because I'm angry at religion and not because I want to rebel against anything. I simply don't see any evidence for it. And I've always been someone that likes to live in reality the way we see it. But it fascinates me to see how many people and how often people assume that morality has to come from religion, that you need a God, commandments, or the promise of heaven and the threat of hell to behave well. And of course, this is let's finish the thought, so it's always been something I've wondered about. Because if the only reason someone chooses to be good is because they believe that someone is watching or that they're afraid of punishment, then that's not real morality. That's supervision. And I say that kindly, not dismissively, but it's something I think we should be honest about. Sometimes religion feels like a system that teaches people how they're supposed to act instead of them deciding that for themselves. And I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying religious people can't be good people. Of course they can. Many are. What I am questioning is something else. If someone needs a God to tell them to be kind, to tell them to not harm others, and to tell them to behave morally, then where is their own moral compass? Because for me, kindness isn't something that was given to me by some belief system. It's something I chose. And trust me, I did not choose it because the life was easy. I grew up in group homes. I moved 43 times in 10 years from the age of 8 until 18. I saw things as a child that a child should not see. I been through shit that a kid should not have been through. My life has had more than its fair share of pain and chaos. So if anyone had an excuse to become bitter or angry or cruel to the world, it could have been me. But I made a different choice. I decided that what happened to me would not define the kind of person I become. When people are not kind to me, even when people treat me badly, I choose kindness every fucking time. Not because they deserve it, and not because someone else or some God is telling me to. I do it because that's who I want to be. Because, get this, someone else's cruelty does not get to rewrite my character. Their choices are theirs. Mine belong to me. And that's where a quote from Jordan Peterson that I mentioned in the other episode fits so incredibly well. The idea that you are morally obligated to do your best, take care of others, and be kind despite what happened to you. Not because life treated you fairly, and not because you were given advantages, but because becoming bitter and cruel only spreads the suffering further. And I really truly believe that it's as simple as that. So for me, kindness is not something that comes from fear or punishment. And it's not something that I inherited from religion. It's a conscious choice, a choice I make every single day. And I chose kindness not because someone told me. I chose it because I can see and I've lived through what the opposite does. The alternative sucks. Trust me. I know what cruelty looks like. I've seen what indifference does to people. I refuse to contribute to that. That is just my choice. Simple. And as I mentioned in the other episode, I have these principles that I use for myself and my children, right? Like the one that says, you are not more important than anybody else, but nobody else is more important than you. We are all fucking equal. Because we are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your fucking status is. Nobody gives a fuck. Because when you die, guess what? You can't take none of that shit with you. Nothing. Nothing means jack shit except for the way you treated people. That's your legacy. That's what you leave behind. Not your money and not your stuff. None of that matters. You understand? None of that matters. Anything you own and anything you've accomplished will mean nothing in 100 years. You realize that, right? You're not fucking. What's his face? I forgot his name. God damn it. Hold on. I know this. Nostradamus. That's it. You are not Nostradamus. You get that right? None of anything you have will survive 100 years. Nothing you say, do, or whatever will survive 100 years. Nothing. But seriously, like I said, you are not Nostradamus. None of us are. None of what you think is so important right now will survive 100 years. The only thing that actually has a chance of lasting is the way you treat people. The way you made people feel, the kindness you showed them, and the moments where you chose compassion instead of cruelty. Because when everything else disappears, and trust me, it will, the only thing that remains is the kind of person you were, the kind of love that you shown people, the kind of good things that you did to help others. Kindness is not weakness. In fact, being kind when it's easy means nothing. The real test of character is this: you can choose kindness when someone else chooses cruelty. Every day we make hundreds of choices, most of them small and some even invisible, but they add up to something very simple: the kind of person we become. No God forces you to be kind. No command can help you treat people well. Choose it. And people often ask me, do I get taken advantage of because I'm kind? Because that is my default choice? Yeah, sure, sometimes. But the way I think of it is I don't get angry. I don't get annoyed. I don't try to rationalize someone else's choice. What I think is simple: it's their fucking karma, not mine. I did what I thought was right. They chose differently. And that's on them, not me. And let me say this: I don't believe in karma. And by God, I wish I fucking did. I really wish I could believe that the universe balances things out somehow. That good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad ones. But life has shown me that it doesn't work that way. My son was murdered almost 2 years ago. He was 16, by the way. And there is nothing I can do to change that. Nothing. I can't bring him back. I can't undo what happened, and I can't make the world fair. Does it hurt? Of course it hurts. Every goddamn day. I sit with this every fucking day. But here's the important part: that pain does not give me the right to distribute it to other people. It doesn't give me the right to be cruel. It doesn't give me the right to become bitter and take it out on the world. Because shit happens. Life just fucking sucks sometimes. And that's reality. But what happened to you does not give you permission to become the thing that hurt you. Pain explains behavior, it doesn't excuse it. I could choose to become angry at everyone. I could choose to become cold and cynical. But that's not how I honor my son. That would make the world worse. So instead, I chose kindness. So here's the question I want you to sit with today. This is what I want you to ask yourself. If there was no reward, no punishment, no heaven, no hell, would you still be a good person? Because if the answer is yes, then congratulations. You don't need supervision to have character. And before I finish, I want to say something that might be a little uncomfortable for some people, but I mean it with respect. I don't believe in God. And I know for many people that belief is a source of comfort, strength, and meaning in their lives. I'm not here to take that away from anyone. But for me personally, faith has always felt like something humans created, is something to help us cope with how unpredictable and sometimes brutal reality can be. When life is chaotic and painful, it's very natural to want something bigger than ourselves to make sense of it. Some people find that in religion. I chose a different path. I don't believe that goodness comes from being watched, rewarded, or punished. I believe that it comes from a decision to treat people well, even and especially when life has not treated you well. Kindness is not something I practice because I think someone's keeping score. I practice it because it's the kind of person I want to be. And so that's the thought that I want you to sit with today. Not whether someone is watching you, not whether there's a reward waiting somewhere, not whether the universe will balance its scales. Trust me, it won't. But it's something much simpler. Who do you choose to be? Because life will just happen to you. Good things, bad things, unfair things. Sometimes things will happen that you never deserved. But none of that decides the kind of person you become. That part is still a choice. Kindness is a choice. Compassion is a choice. The way you treat people around you is a choice, and it's yours. And maybe that's the real test of character. Not how you behave when life is easy, but how you decide to behave when it's not. And like I said, I don't choose kindness because I believe someone's keeping score. I choose it because the world already has enough cruelty in it. And every single one of us has the power to decide whether we add to that or whether we make it just a little bit better. So there you go. This was another episode of Let's Finish the Thought. Think about it, sit with it, and finish the thought. My name is Angelus, Ange for short, in case you didn't know that. My name is Ange. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I will see you in the next episode. Later, Gator.